The difference between these two boards is $20, with the Corsair of course being the more expensive one. Which one is worth your hard-earned money, because you are spending upwards of $160 for a keyboard? Find out more. I'm Rio Gion, and this is Rio Gion Keyboards. The neat thing about the Corsair is that if you turn off all of the RGB lighting, it can actually pass as a pretty decently looking office keyboard. Not too gamery, which is a plus on my book. And the open air design is very nice. The non-standard layout making it really hard to replace keycaps. But the G.Skill also commits the same sin. And overall, if you don't turn on the RGBs, it looks very office friendly, which is a great asset that the keyboard has in case if you want to game at home and bring it to work at the same time. Sadly, the same cannot be said for the G.Skill, because even if you turn off all of the lights, it just screams pro gamer. It does not escape it, because it is proud to be a gaming keyboard. It is marketed as a gaming keyboard, and it is proud to be one. And also it has the open air design, which is fantastic. And it also has a non-standard layout, which means it can be very difficult to replace keys. Overall, it has everything that the Corsair has, except for the pro gamer aesthetic. Both keyboards uses Cherry MX stabilizer, which is awesome because it's not going to be a pain to clean it when removing the keycaps, which is so nice. It is something that I appreciated dearly. Both of the keyboards uses the cheapo ABS keycaps, which at this price point it's a little bit ridiculous. However, I'm gonna give it to the G.Skill because the font seems more office friendly, even though the design is not office friendly whatsoever. It kinda makes me want the Corsair to have the font of the G.Skill, but nevertheless there's still paint smear all over these keycaps, and once again, these are cheapo keycaps on a keyboards that are very high in price. Both the Corsair and the G.Skill have equally terrible wrist rests, with them being hard plastic, and both of them have that sort of clip-on thing where it can easily break if you don't handle it right, and that's awful. At least they have rubber feet on them, which is nice, I guess, but I don't know, they're both equally terrible wrist rests. The most surprising thing is that both of the keyboards uses Cherry MX Brown RGB with the LED inside the switch protecting it to prevent it from another point of error. In terms of brightness, I say both of the keyboards are on par. Maybe I'm gonna give the slight edge to the Corsair because of how the font is on the keycap. The font is just bigger, therefore more light's gonna shine out. But in terms of brightness, I think they're both the same thing. But in terms of lighting effects, the Corsair wins, hands down. There's no debate. It wins by a landslide. There are layers upon layers upon layers of effects, while the G.Skill can only have the background lighting and one effect on top of it, and that's it. And in terms of numbers of effects, the Corsair once again wins hands down. There's just a lot more variations with the effects, and it's just overall with the amount of features for lighting, the Corsair does it very, very well. And what is also great about Corsair is that it has the support to go with the board. Because for the G.Skill, after a long-term ownership, I'm gonna be honest, I think they stopped caring. They do not care for their consumers because they have not updated the software for a very, very, very long time. And there were issues with the board, mainly that red stripe LED that will get in the way if, say, you want to have a blue background lighting, that red stripe that indicates the volume, it doesn't flow very well. And I don't think they bother to fix it, or they don't care to fix it, or they don't want to fix it, or they're just done. They just throw in a towel and they're done caring for their consumers. The Corsair, on the other hand, it does care. There are lots of updates, as you can tell, but let's be honest here. The Corsair has a very rough start in the beginning though. Their software was, quite frankly, crap in the beginning. Now, it's a lot better. It's a lot more user-friendly. And in terms of user-friendly, the G.Skill is still slightly better, but more of that onto the software. As I mentioned before with the software, both companies do have updates, but G.Skill just stopped caring. I honestly think so. I do not think that there is going to be any more updates. They stopped caring for you guys. They stopped caring for me. So sad, so true. But let's hope they change their mind. Onwards to Corsair. With the support, with the updates, the software is getting better and better and better, which is fantastic because you're spending, again, $150, $160 on a keyboard. Yes, just kind of let that sink in. You're spending that much money on a keyboard. And the G.Skill isn't any cheaper. It's 140 bucks. Like I mentioned before, the difference between them is $20. And you are spending quite a lot of money on a keyboard. So you need to make sure that you buy something that's gonna last you for a while. And in terms of future-proofing, quote unquote, I say the Corsair is a lot better because of the support. While the G.Skill, it's very user-friendly. You can know exactly what to do without consulting Google for help. Because let's be honest, I don't think we look at the manual nowadays. We tend to look things up online. And with the Corsair, with the updates, it's going to be very good for the long haul. Corsair K70 is a very nice typer with the Cherry MX RGB brown. The keys are very smooth. I say maybe it's better than the Strafe in terms of typing feel, as it has been quite a while since I typed on the Corsair Strafe board. But I believe that the K70 is ever so slightly better. However, there are some rough edges on how the key press flows with your fingers. The G.Skill is just slightly better than the K70 at typing because the keys are a lot more smoother. They're not as stiff. However, the trade-off is that it's not as crispy as it is on the K70. So your mileage may vary, but of course you're looking for an answer, and I have to give you one. And over the course of me using both boards simultaneously back to back, I say I enjoy typing on the G.Skill more because of how smooth the transitions from key to key. It makes you type faster. While the K70 is ever so slightly stiffer, which makes you not want to type as much. However, It's so slight, but I'm gonna have to give you an answer, and I'll give the edge to the G.Skill. Both the Corsair and the G.Skill are both capable gaming keyboards with their softwares and macro buttons. Cherry MX Brown is just average at gaming and average at typing, with the tools of the trade, the masters of none. And that has always been the Brown switch, so that's not going to change here. But the G.Skill will be the more preferable keyboard for gaming because it has a dedicated bank of macro keys, and it has 3 memory settings, and it has onboard memory, which means that if you were to set those 3 onboard profiles, it will remember them exactly when you switch on to a different computer. And say you didn't install the software, you still have those settings, at least those 3 settings that are on the board. Well, with the Corsair, I notice that every single time when I turn off my computer, the board will reset itself, which means it does not have onboard memory. So it will only work as well as you would want it to work when it actually has software. Now, let's answer that $20 question, right? So let's recap here. The G.Skill types better, has bank of macro keys, has a very pro gamer design, and overall, for 140 bucks, it's actually not a bad thing because it uses MX Brown RGB, which is a very nice switch because I believe some would think that G.Skill would use either KO or Ultemu. I kind of want it to be Gateron, but I guess not. Anyways, Cherry MX is a very nice inclusion to have for G.Skill. And Corsair, of course, it's only Cherry MX. And the build quality, I say they are on par. The design aspect, the Corsair can definitely slip by as an office board if you turn off all the lights. And the G.Skill, you cannot do that. But the G.Skill makes up for it with onboard memory. But then again, Corsair's lighting effects is just so good. There's just so many variations. There are so many ways for you to customize your board, which is very, very nice. And with the additional $20, I say for those that really like the lighting effects, it's well worth your money. But for those that just kind of like me, where you set one color and then you get bored, and then you set a different color and then you get bored and you just keep switching around, or you do like various patterns for fun, just very light on the lighting effects, then I say save yourself the extra 20 bucks, maybe get some Starbucks or McDonald's. But besides that, I say the extra $20 is worth it for the Corsair board. But then again, you don't have onboard memory, you don't have audio jacks, and you don't have gold-plated USB. So you're paying more money, but you're only paying more money for the lighting feature. And I know some of you may argue with me that the build quality of the Corsair is better, but I really do not think so. I think they are on par. They're both aluminum front plate and very plasticky back plate. So they are on par with the build quality. Overall, I say, let's make a choice. Let's make a $20 decision. And I'm going with the G.Skill on this one because I value onboard memory, and most importantly, I value typing experience because I type a lot. I type a lot. With work and school, I type a lot. And with a board that types better, it's gonna mean that I am more productive. So I'm going with G.Skill. And of course, I know you guys are gonna comment down below, oh, because you bought it, that's why you're going for it. But hear me out, alright? Just kind of buy both of the boards and find out for yourself. Because I think that you will be quite surprised. I know that I was. Anyways, people, take care.